All right, let me go ahead and tell y'all something. The Washington Commanders went out on July 31st, 2025, and signed themselves a veteran offensive tackle who last played with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, before I even dive into the SSAs and Ovis, before I start breaking down roster implications, locker room leadership, and playoff projections, I gotta set the stage. Because you don't just bring in a former Kansas City lineman, someone who's been in the trenches with Patrick Mahomes, who's been on the front lines of Super Bowl caliber football, and treat it like just another camp signing. No, sir. This move got layers. It's got texture. It's got ripple effects. Not just for Washington, but for how they see themselves in the 2025 season and beyond. See, when you talk about offensive tackles in the National Football League, you talk about big men who don't make headlines, but keep your franchise alive. They're the gatekeepers, the guys who protect your most valuable asset, the quarterback. Now, Washington, they've been trying to find stability up front for years. You can go back and check the tape. Too many quarterbacks under duress, too many missed assignments, too many drives stalling because somebody couldn't hold up at the point of attack. So this move, it ain't just about signing a guy. It's about philosophy. It's about identity. It's about saying, we not gonna let our season get wrecked because we couldn't handle business in the trenches. Now let me paint the picture. This veteran, last playing with the Kansas City Chiefs, done seen it all. He's seen Super Bowls. He's been in primetime lights. He's blocked for one of the most creative, most electric offenses in football. He knows what it feels like to win. And when you walk into Washington's locker room with that on your resume, bro, guys, listen, you can teach that. That's credibility. That's experience. That's a presence that changes how young players prepare, how they practice, how they carry themselves. But let's peel this onion all the way back, layer by layer. We gonna go through what this means for Washington's offense, what it means for their young quarterback, what it means for their running game, and how it might shape the NFC East. And then we go and zoom out, because a move like this, it ties into bigger conversations about culture, coaching, and how franchises rebuild themselves from the inside out. Washington been stuck in a cycle for too long. Draft a young quarterback, hope he blossoms, watch him run for his life, see the offense sputter. And let me tell you, nothing kills a quarterback's confidence like getting hit early and often. You can have all the arm talent in the world, you can have all of the playmakers outside, but if your offensive tackle ain't holding up on the edge, you toast. The Commanders knew this. They saw it in years past. They saw it when defenses pinned their ears back and attacked. That's why this signing matters. It's not just about plugging a hole. It's about sending a message. We not gonna let this happen again. You see, when you play for Kansas City, you play in a system that demands excellence. Andy Reid don't tolerate mediocrity up front. That Chiefs O-line, they've been retooled, rebuilt, and coached to the max. So this veteran Washington just picked up. He's been forged in fire. He's faced Chris Jones in practice. He's dealt with Von Miller off the edge. He's seen playoff intensity. That means when he lines up in training camp for Washington, the young bucks gonna be tested. They gonna be sharpened iron on iron style. And let me tell you, it's contagious. When one guy brings championship habits into your building, it spreads. That's why guys like Trent Williams, when they left Washington, still had Pro Bowl level impact elsewhere. Washington lost that edge when Trent walked. Now, they try to bring some of that pedigree back. Listen, I don't care who you are. You could be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, or a rookie fresh out of college. If you ain't protected, you ain't performing. Washington's quarterback, whoever's under center this season, just got himself a lifeline. You give a QB an extra half second. That's the difference between a sack and a touchdown. That's the difference between a tipped ball interception and a clean strike to your wideout. This veteran tackle brings that. He brings stability on the blind side. Or if he's playing right tackle, he locks down the other edge, so your protection scheme can balance. Either way, the QB sleeps better at night. Big fellas up front don't just pass block. They set the tone in the run game. Washington got some backs who can churn out yards if given lanes. But too often, we've seen them hit behind the line dancing in the backfield, trying to make something out of nothing. That ain't sustainable. You want to control games in December. You better be able to run the football. You better be able to line up on 3rd and 2 and say, "We coming right at you. Stop us if you can." This veteran knows how to do that. He's been part of units that could maul when they needed to. That physicality, that travels. Now, let's widen the scope. The NFC East is a gauntlet. Dallas got Micah Parsons. Philly got that defensive line rotation that just keeps coming. The Giants, they got a couple pieces too. You don't survive in this division without sturdy tackles. Period. Washington signing this guy ain't just about week 1. It's about twice-a-year battles with Parsons, with Haason Reddick, with Dexter Lawrence. It's about not letting your season be derailed by division foes. If this veteran holds up, Washington's suddenly competitive. If he don't, well, same old story. But this move at least gives him a fighting chance. Every team needs vets who've been there, done that. Coaches can preach. Coordinators can scheme. But when a player stands up in that huddle and says, "I know what it takes to win," that hits different. This man's seen Lombardi parade. He's lined up next to guys who are future Hall of Famers. He knows what a winning Wednesday practice looks like. Washington's young roster, they need that template. And don't underestimate this. Offensive linemen are culture carriers. They eat together. They bond. They keep the locker room steady. When you add a vet into that mix, you stabilize the room. Now, one signing don't fix everything. Washington's still building. They still got to draft right. They still got to hit on skill positions. They still got to figure out if their quarterback is the guy. But you can't do any of that if you don't build the wall first. You don't build a house starting with the windows. You start with the foundation. That's what this signing represents. A piece of that foundation. And if he holds up for a year or two, that buys you time. That buys you prime. That buys you breathing room to develop the young guys behind him. That buys your front office flexibility in the draft. That's how you rebuild smart. So what's the bottom line? Washington signing this veteran offensive tackle is bigger than headlines say. It's bigger than camp depth. This move is about stability. It's about sending a message to your quarterback, your locker room, your fan base, and your division rivals. We gon' protect. We gon' fight. We gon' give ourselves a chance. You can measure that on a stat sheet, but you gon' see it on Sundays when Washington ain't giving up pressure like before. You gon' see it when the quarterback keeps his eyes downfield instead of bailing out. You gon' see it when the running back gets to the second level more consistently. That's impact. Washington ain't fixed all their problems overnight. But today, July 31st, 2025, they made themselves better. And in this league, that's how you climb. One brick, one move, one piece at a time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you frame it. A signing that looks minor on the ticker but speaks volumes when you understand the trenches. And as I always say, big men win games. Washington just got themselves one who knows what winning looks like. Now let's take a step back. Skip. Let's talk history. Washington has always been a franchise that, when it was great, was built on the offensive line. You go back to the Joe Gibbs era. The Hogs. Them boys up front dominated. They paved the way for 3 Super Bowl titles. They made average quarterbacks look good. And good quarterbacks look great. They set the standard. And ever since then, Washington been searching for that identity. This signing. This veteran with Kansas City bloodline. This is Washington saying, we remember our DNA. We remember that football is won in the trenches. It ain't the flashy move. It ain't the jersey seller. But it's the type of move that turns a 6-11 team into a 9-8 team fighting for a wild card. Now don't get it twisted. Everybody in this league knows the value of tackle. Look at San Francisco with Trent Williams. Look at Dallas with Tyron Smith when he was healthy. Look at the Eagles with Lane Johnson. You build your offense around security at the edge. This Commanders signing, it puts EM in the conversation of, okay, maybe they're catching up. And listen, you ain't gonna outgun Dallas, Philly, or San Francisco overnight. But if you want to compete with them, well, you gotta at least give your quarterback the same chance their quarterback's got. And Washington finally looking like they understand that. And here's something people overlook. Linemen are teachers. A veteran who's seen Andy Reid's playbook, who's been in the Chiefs locker room, he can sit down with a rookie and explain why footwork matters on a 3rd and 7 draw play. He can break down why leverage beats brute strength. That knowledge is priceless. Coaches can teach it, but when it comes player to player, it lands different. So you not just buying a tackle, you buying a mentor, you buying a culture set. So here's what I'll leave you with, Skip. Washington ain't fixed everything. They ain't solved the puzzle, but they put a piece in place that every successful franchise got. A reliable vet in the trenches. And when your quarterback ain't picking himself up off the grass every other snap, that's when you start seeing growth. That's when you start seeing hope. And hope, in Washington right now, that's worth its weight in gold.